Have you ever had a nightmare so vivid, so disturbing, that it stayed with you for days, maybe even years? Now imagine discovering that someone else, a complete stranger, had the exact same nightmare. Not similar, identical. The same creature, the same face, the same setting. This isn't just a spooky coincidence from a late-night Reddit thread. It's a phenomenon that has puzzled psychologists, artists, and dream researchers for decades. People from all around the world, different countries, different ages, different cultures, all describing the same entity visiting their dreams. They don't know each other. They don't share the same language. But when asked to draw what they saw, they sketch the same haunting face, deep-set eyes, a thin mouth, high cheekbones, and a presence that feels ancient. The question isn't just, who is this? The real question is, why are we all seeing him? In this video, we'll take you on a journey through the foggy corridors of the unconscious mind, exploring the chilling case of shared nightmares, and the terrifying possibility that something or someone is trying to reach us through our dreams. It all started with a drawing, a simple sketch left on a therapist's desk. The patient, a young woman in her 20s, had described a man that kept appearing in her dreams, not every night, but often enough that she became scared to fall asleep. She said he didn't speak. He just stood there, watching, sometimes at the edge of a field, sometimes inside her childhood home. His face never changed, always pale, slightly distorted, and deeply unsettling. The therapist, curious, asked her to draw it. That image stayed on his desk for weeks, until another patient, completely unrelated, walked in, saw the sketch, and froze. "That's him," he whispered. "That's the man from my dreams." From that moment on, the story spread. More and more patients claimed to have seen the same man in their sleep. Therapists started sharing the sketch. Some posted it online, and the replies flooded in. "I've seen this man. He comes when I'm stressed. He watches me but never moves. I thought I was alone." It became known as This Man, a name that now lives in internet legend, but whose roots go deeper than we'd like to believe. Because the more people looked into it, the stranger it got. Some believed it was just suggestion, that seeing the image online triggered false memories. But that didn't explain the ones who had never seen the sketch and still described the exact same face, or the ones who reported dreams from decades ago. Even children, even in remote villages without internet access. Something wasn't adding up. Could it be a psychological archetype? A figure buried deep in the human collective unconscious, like Carl Jung once theorized? Maybe. Jung spoke of recurring symbols, archetypes, that emerge from the deepest layers of the psyche. Shadows, mothers, wise men, tricksters. Could this man be another, a new archetype formed in a modern world, representing anxiety, surveillance, guilt, or something even older? Another possibility crept into the discussion, that the man wasn't a symbol, but a visitor. Some dream researchers and fringe theorists propose that consciousness isn't confined to the individual mind, that in altered states, like dreaming, we may tap into shared dimensions of thought, places where minds touch. If that were true, then this man might not just be inside us. He might be real, a being that exists in a dream space we all access, a traveler, an observer, or worse, a predator. Many of the dreamers described the same feeling, not fear at first, but a growing sense of being watched, a sense that something was wrong. Then came the paralysis, not always, but often, moments where they tried to run, scream, wake up, but couldn't, trapped in their own minds while he stared, motionless. He never hurt them, but the message was clear. "I'm here, I see you." And they always remembered his face. Always. One particular case stood out. A soldier who had returned from deployment began having dreams of a man standing at the edge of his bunk. He thought it was PTSD, until he saw the drawing on a late-night forum. "I froze," he wrote. "It's him. I never told anyone because I thought I was losing my mind." Another account came from a woman in Argentina who had drawn the same face in a journal from 1996, long before the internet explosion. A researcher, upon seeing her notebook, felt the chill rise up her spine. "How is this possible?" she whispered. "How can they all be dreaming the same thing? But perhaps the most unsettling thing isn't the drawing itself. It's what happens when people try to confront him. Some dreamers have reported speaking to him, asking questions, demanding answers, but every time the result is the same. He doesn't respond, or worse, he smiles. The deeper you dig into these stories, the more unsettling they become. At first it might seem like a strange coincidence, a psychological curiosity to be filed away under dream anomalies. But once you start to see the patterns, a different picture emerges. One that suggests this isn't just about dreams, it's about connection. Invisible threads that bind complete strangers together through a shared silent witness. A presence that doesn't speak, doesn't act, but is always there. Observing. Psychologists began to document the phenomenon more formally in the early 2000s. They collected testimonies, drawings, and sleep journals from all over the world. The consistency was disturbing. The man's face, slightly too symmetrical to feel human with arched brows and a fixed expression, appeared again and again. But it wasn't just his appearance. It was the emotion people felt when they saw him. A coldness, a knowing, a sense of being exposed as if he could see through them beyond the dream, straight into something hidden. Some researchers began calling it the mirror effect, not because he mimicked people, but because they felt like he reflected something buried inside them. Their fears, their secrets, their past. And yet, the story doesn't stop with drawings. Over time, people began to report physical sensations that lingered after waking. Headaches, tingling. Some even claimed to have seen him in waking hallucinations. Brief flickers, a shape at the end of a hallway, a face in a crowd that disappears when looked at directly. Skeptics dismissed these as sleep paralysis or false memories, but others weren't so sure, especially when reports started to emerge of people seeing him without ever having dreamed of him before. "I recognized him before I knew who he was," said one man. "It's like I'd always known him." There was one case that particularly unsettled the scientific community. A young girl just 9 years old who lived in a remote rural town drew the face after a nightmare and handed it to her mother. The mother, shocked, later discovered the online image while searching for help and nearly fainted. "My daughter drew this before she could even write her full name," she said. "How is that possible?" The therapist who examined the girl's dreams noted something even more chilling. The girl said the man didn't speak, but showed her pictures in her mind. "He made me feel what he wanted," she said, "like he was teaching me something, but I didn't want to learn." As these accounts spread, a theory began to take root in the corners of the internet that most people avoid. The idea that this man wasn't human at all, but something else entirely. An interdimensional entity. A watcher from outside time. Some even linked him to ancient myths, the Mesopotamian Apkallu, the Watchers from the Book of Enoch, beings that passed forbidden knowledge to humanity in dreams. Others compared him to shadow figures in folklore, the night hag, the dark man, the visitor, always present, always watching, always just out of reach. Is it possible that humanity has been seeing this being for centuries, just under different names? Neurologists have tried to explain it using the idea of shared dream architecture. The brain, when under extreme stress or during certain sleep cycles, might default to familiar structures, including facial patterns hardwired into our biology. But even that doesn't explain the synchronicity, the timings, the cultural overlap. People dreaming of the same face on the same night, continents apart. That's not just brain chemistry, that's something else. Another theory is more disturbing, that this man appears only when you become aware of him. In other words, once you hear the story, once you see his face, you open a door. A cognitive vulnerability that allows him in. Many people online have reported dreaming of him only after learning about him. It's as if awareness is the trigger. That raises an even darker question. If simply knowing about him makes you a target, then what is he doing with that access? And why would he want to be seen? One user on an obscure message board claimed to have dreamed of the man and confronted him repeatedly. The final dream, he wrote, ended with the man finally speaking. Just one word: soon. The user deleted their account the next day. Nobody has heard from them since. Of course, it could all be a psychological mass illusion, a viral idea so powerful it plants false memories in susceptible minds. But that doesn't explain the historical accounts. the paintings from centuries ago that resemble the face, the ancient carvings of watchers and dreamstalkers with similar features. Is it possible we've seen this being before, but chose to forget? Some believers suggest that dreams are more than just the mind sorting through the day's events, that they're a form of travel, a space where our consciousness detaches and floats through unseen dimensions. And if that's true, then maybe this man isn't coming into our dreams. Maybe we're walking into his world. Maybe we're the intruders. And yet, for all the fear and speculation, there's another side to the story. A few people have described encounters with the man that weren't terrifying, but strangely comforting. A feeling of being watched, but protected, guided. "He stood at the foot of my bed," one woman said, "and I wasn't afraid. I felt calm. I felt like someone was there for me when I needed it most." Could it be that the man's appearance is shaped by our own minds? That what we fear, he reflects? Or maybe, just maybe, he's neither good nor evil, just present. Always present. Now, if you've made it this far, there's a chance you're starting to feel a little uneasy. You might be thinking about your own dreams, trying to remember if you've ever seen a face like his. A man you didn't recognize, but who felt familiar. And if you haven't, you might be wondering if you will now. That's the strange thing about this phenomenon. It spreads like a whisper, like a virus of thought, and once it's in your head, it waits. It begins subtly. A strange face glimpsed in a dream you can't fully remember. You wake up feeling unsettled, brushing it off as just another product of a restless night. But then it happens again. The same room, the same atmosphere, the same figure, still silent, still staring. It's not just the recurrence that unnerves you, it's the precision, the vividness, the unshakable feeling that this isn't fiction, that what you experienced didn't come from your own imagination. It was sent, inserted. In the final stage of this phenomenon, some dreamers have reported a kind of transformation, a progression from mere witness to participant. The man begins to move, to approach. He doesn't always reach you, but when he does, people describe it with unsettling consistency. A moment of contact. His hand, cold and dry, touches your shoulder, and then everything fades. Some wake up gasping. Others feel drained for days, and a few report waking up with physical signs, bruises, red marks, even scratches, always in the same spot. "I thought it was a coincidence," said one person, "until I saw someone else post a photo of the exact same mark in the exact same place. Then I knew something wasn't right." At this point, we must confront a possibility we've tried to avoid, that this isn't a collective hallucination, nor a psychological archetype, nor an internet myth. What if it's real? Not real in the way we define waking life, but real in the way the mind accepts truth. What if there exists a shared realm, not bound by geography, time, or language? A place our consciousnesses drift through when we sleep. And what if something lives there, something that's been waiting for us to notice it, to name it, to give it form? By acknowledging it, by drawing it, we've given it permission to stay. There are stories, often dismissed as folklore, that suggest dreams are not internal at all, but external. Visions, communications, warnings. Indigenous tribes in various parts of the world have spoken of dreamwalkers, spirits that visit people across great distances, sometimes to teach, sometimes to warn, sometimes just to observe. In some traditions, drawing these beings is considered dangerous. "If you give them a face," said one shaman, "they find you more easily." Think about that. The power of an image, the act of drawing as a kind of invitation, an anchor. And now thousands of people have drawn the same face, given it the same identity, shared it, spread it, believed in it. Belief, as we know, can be a powerful force. Entire cultures have built gods and monsters out of collective thought. So what happens when enough people believe in the same nightmare? Do we give it life? Even the most rational minds are beginning to struggle with this question. Scientists have started to explore the concept of egregores, thought forms born out of collective focus. Originally a mystical idea, now being studied through the lens of mass psychology. Could this man be an egregore? Not a person, not a spirit, but a construction of pure human focus. If so, then every time we speak of him, draw him, fear him, we feed him. And if we stop, maybe he fades. But that raises another disturbing question. What if he doesn't want to fade? You see, fear creates attention, and attention is energy. In the modern world, where attention is currency, maybe he's found a new way to survive. Not in temples or stories, but in screenshots, in viral posts, in digital sketches shared late at night by curious minds. And if that's true, then the final stage isn't seeing him, it is becoming part of the network that sustains him. A network of minds, connected not by wires but by dreams. So where does that leave us? If you're watching this video, there's a chance you'll dream of him tonight. Maybe not fully, maybe just a glimpse, a presence at the edge of your vision, a feeling that you're being watched. Don't panic, most people never see him more than once. But if you do, remember this, you're not alone. And that might be the most terrifying part of all, that thousands of strangers, people you'll never meet, are dreaming beside you, seeing what you see, feeling what you feel, connected by a face with no name, a nightmare that no one truly understands. And maybe that was the point all along. Thank you for exploring this journey with an open mind. Whether you believe this phenomenon is real, symbolic, or simply a trick of the human brain, it reveals something profound. We are more connected than we think. Even in sleep, even in fear, there is a thread that binds us. What we do with that awareness is up to us. Share your dreams, speak your truths, and whatever you see tonight, don't forget to wake up.